Hello, BookTube community, and welcome to another installment of Erin's Book Club. I have a book review to do for you. It's kind of an unplanned book review. I didn't think I'd get this book done as fast as I did. So the book that I'm going to review today is The Space Between the Stars by Anne Corlett. Now, when I first read the book, well, first of all, let's go with the way the book looks. First of all, fell in love with this title. I really hope they don't change the title. And the way that the book is written, the chapters are nice and small, so it feels like you're reading really quick. And she did a little note, or the editor did a little note to us beforehand. There was also any kind of writing under different contexts or under different time periods were done in italicized font, so that was easy to figure out what the different time periods were. Very, very, very well written book. But I have to say, when I first started reading the book, I think I was into the first 100 pages, and it was very hard to get into. It was very hard to empathize with the main character because she just seemed kind of empty. And it felt like we came in the middle of the story, and a lot of the past of the story I would have liked to have known more about. Basically, you're entered into this time period when this was way past when humans were able to go into space travel, and they've actually started colonizing other worlds. And we meet the main character once she's kind of run away from her boyfriend after losing her baby to a miscarriage. And she wakes up after recovering from the virus that has destroyed most of the world. And I was intrigued at first, but the characters just seemed hollow. After the first 100 pages, things started get going. She was introduced to the character which would eventually be the love interest. And let me stop here and say that this author did an awesome job teasing us with this love interest. It wasn't immediately apparent that this is the new fellow that we'd fall in love with. There was hints to it, but she was still very much broken over her old husband, the father of the child that was never born. And she did a great job of teasing us, of like bringing them just to that point where they might get together and then pulling them apart again throughout the entire book. So you didn't just fall in love immediately and there it was. So that was great. That caused a lot of times when I didn't go to bed on time because I wanted to read more. And then when it started getting into the nooks and crannies of the plague and how the human psyche would behave if they had to rebuild the entire civilization after losing it all, and you got people who were trying to get like class levels right from the get-go and like be all powerful right from the get-go, and not allowing survivors that meandered over there to leave because they wanted to use them in a breeding program to repopulate the earth. And it was not right. So they ran away from that facility, and then that was where her boyfriend was, so she ran away from him. And then throughout the journey, they met other people who were trying to deal with this plague the best way that they could. But because it wasn't the way that they were trying to do it, they didn't understand when these people didn't want to go with them. There was one instance where they went to a house where people were pretending it was back in the 1940s or 1980s or 1800s. And they were playing along with this, and she didn't understand why they were continuing to play along with this. And there was one that they treated like a slave, and she didn't understand why the slave didn't want to go with them. When in reality what you learn is just because your world ends and you need to fix it your way doesn't mean that these people don't find comfort in their own way, and who are we to judge what they can and cannot do. And then near the end we find something that's absolutely on par with what us as a human race probably will do to ourselves. And I'm not going to spoil it for you guys because it's something that you should read, but it was right on par with the way things would probably go, and how we would probably deal with this kind of thing. The only problem that I really didn't like about the book is if you guys watched the TV show Firefly, it was very, very close to Firefly. Like, the characters were even like Firefly characters. I'm surprised they didn't get any copyright problems. They were that close. And that kind of turned off my liking of the book because I didn't like the Firefly episodes. Right down to like there was even horses in the beginning and the end of this book, which Firefly had horses in it, not like, but they were there. So that part I didn't kind of like. I didn't think it was their own at that point. But then they switched it up, and made each and every character in the book more real, more raw, more lovable, and the main enemy developed through the book in a way that you really wouldn't expect. You kind of wrote off this character as crazy, but that character developed into something much more dangerous than you would ever imagine to be, and so that was kind of cool. I thoroughly enjoyed that. It really good book. I couldn't put it down after the first 100 pages, but I will warn you, the first 100 pages are pretty darn slow, and I don't know if she could do anything else to make the characters less hollow. Like the Jamie character by the end, I absolutely adored, but that's because she became real. She kind of created her own soul at that point in time, whereas everywhere else she wasn't. I don't know. It was hard to explain. But I do know one thing. I'm never letting this book out of my sight. I'm never letting anybody borrow this book because it was that good and I can't risk having it not come back. I actually want to read it a few times. It, it was a good look into the human psyche and what the author thought us as people would do when the world came to an end. And I'm all about world coming to an end kind of books. I'm really enjoying this. I also like the fact that this author wasn't some young kid who was beautiful in a way, or who was like the chosen one in a way. She was just a regular human being, and she was older. I think she was in her 30s, which I really liked, because a lot of the books that you read nowadays, you got young kids that are doing amazing things, and that's great and wonderful, but what about us old folk, you know? So it was really nice to have something that was more real to what I could relate to. So all you guys who like space, if you guys like the Firefly episodes, this will be right up your alley. Who likes medical science, who likes disease, that kind of thing, go ahead and get yourself The Space Between the Stars. Just, it's a book that has something for everyone. I wish I had read it earlier. It really, really good book, guys. Go pick it up. Thanks so very much. You guys have yourself a great day.